Yo, yo, yo. Peace. This is Ykim, the other half of the law library. Listen, we're going to teach you your rights, the Constitution, and we're going to tell you the difference between rights and privileges. We're going to talk about many topics: housing court, Supreme Court, civil court, lawsuits, how to defend yourself, how to answer a complaint. We're also going to have people that deal with social work, women that have children that have been involved in the system. We're going to teach you everything we know because guess what? We got to stand up and we got to wake up. You heard me? Peace. Ykim, Law Library. Peace. This is Ykim coming to y'all from the Law Library. The Law Library with Ty. We're going through some technical difficulties. It was originally named the Law Library with TA and Ykim. And based on those technical difficulties, I want to announce to my audience that it will be going by the name of the Law Library with Ty, TY. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, how y'all doing out there tonight? I'm here, my brother's unavailable at this time, TA. And I had a couple of ideas that we were going to do together, but I had to redirect the message. The message I want to readdress now is the marijuana laws that have been recently passed in the state of New York, following numerous other states who made marijuana legal. So there's some things that people might possibly not know about the new laws. So I pulled them up on newyorkcourts.gov, and it says cannabis, marijuana, and expungement under the state of New York law. So expungement is where they take the arrest, if you've ever been arrested for small, petty amounts of marijuana, and it gives a chart of how much, what qualified as a marijuana offense, certain possessions, sales, and stuff like that. And what happened with the law being changed, you're now entitled to what's called expungement under New York state law. Certain offenses were automatically supposed to be done by the state up in Albany, where your records are kept, everybody's records who have a criminal arrest record. Albany was supposed to go through the whole list for the marijuana convictions, excuse me, in all boroughs in the state of New York and different counties within the state of New York. But that has not been done. As y'all know, the black and brown community have been disproportionately affected by marijuana laws before they was changed. For example, if you listed a job application, have you ever been arrested? And if you was arrested even for marijuana, you had to list that. Otherwise, you was giving false information. And if it was found out, you would be immediately terminated for supplying that false information. It also affected housing and City Housing Authority, NYCHA. And if you had people in your family that was on the lease that had marijuana convictions, they would be barred from living there, even though what used to be under the NYPD's broken windows program, where police would arrest the residents in front of the buildings that they lived in for marijuana possession or sale or whatever it was, and use that as a bar to bar them from certain rights and civil rights, deny them certain criminal rights in court, and just start tagging them. It's like a tag game, and it started with marijuana. Even the federal government, under federal law, would use a previous marijuana conviction. If you was ever convicted in the feds, it used to cause you to get a certain amount of points under your criminal history. So it's a very wide-ranging effect now that that law is has been now that marijuana has been made legal. So there's a lot of things involved in this, and we're gonna go through some of them. So right now, like I said, I'm gonna read from the newyorkcourts.gov, and it's dealing with the expungement. So what it says is, under New York state law, some marijuana possession charges are automatically expunged. That has not been happening. Under the new law, the list of charges that are eligible for expungement has been expanded. Other charges require a motion of application to be submitted by the court to the court. So those are cases where they don't fall automatically in the category for expungement by the state of New York. I think certain weights, over certain weights, they always use a sliding scale. So under certain weights, you have to actually file a motion to the court to have the expungement taking effect. So it goes on to say expungement means that the arrest, the court case, and the conviction are now treated as if they never happened. For a definition of expungement, see CPL 1.20 subsection 45. So that's the New York State CBL. All right? That's criminal procedure law. And that's going to tell you what expunged is. Charges that have been expunged would not appear or show up on a criminal history background check, which is good for gaining employment, cannot be used against an individual when applying for housing, that's what I was saying about the housing, student loans, or a job. Will not be found by law enforcement unless you are applying for a gun license or a job in law enforcement. So those are the places that it will pop up. Do not have to be listed on a job or school application that asks if you've been convicted or arrested. That's what I just was saying. So then they got a subsection talking about automatic expungement. Convictions for certain marijuana, cannabis-related offenses, possessing up to 16 ounces or selling up to 25 grams of marijuana cannabis are now eligible for expungement. So if you never cross those guidelines that 16 ounces of selling or 2 grams of marijuana cannabis, you are now entitled and eligible for expungement. So if you have these marijuana convictions, get at us, y'all, at the Law Library. Like and subscribe. So now, the following convictions will be automatically expunged without filing any motions and without any fees. So it's supposed to be free of charge. You do not have to do anything. So now we go into the penal law, New York State penal law. New York State penal law at 221.05, unlawful possession of marijuana in the second degree. Okay, if you got that charge on your record, it should be automatically expunged. I'm going to tell you how to check. The second one is penal law 221.10, unlawful possession of marijuana in the first degree. Then it goes down to penal law 221.15, criminal possession of marijuana in the fourth degree. And it goes down all the way to the third degree for possession. Then it switches over, it goes down 221.35, criminal sale of marijuana in the fifth degree. 221.40, criminal possession of marijuana in the fourth degree. Now we down to a misdemeanor. So penal law 222.10, restrictions on cannabis use. And then it goes into penal law 222.15, personal cultivation. That means growing marijuana in your home or on your property. All these things are now entitled you to expungement. Then it has penal law 222.25, unlawful possession of cannabis, and then unlawful sale of cannabis at 222.25. So these are all cases and charges that you might not even know about right now. Probably forgot about it, especially if you smoke. You might have forgot about it. I don't even smoke, but I forget shit every day. So, so anyway, nevertheless, this list could be found on NewYorkCourts.gov under cannabis, marijuana. And it tells you if you have your rap sheet or if you don't have your rap sheet, I advise you to apply to our Albany, New York State campus. I can't remember the exact address, but you could Google it for New York State criminal histories and rap sheets. Sometimes you can file saying you don't have money to pay for it. And I believe even if you're on food stamps, you could charge $10. They'll take $10 out of that and send you your rap sheet. So I suggest strongly that you get your rap sheet, see what's on it, and see if the charge was actually expunged. Now, what this does is opens the door for you for job applications, housing, and everything that you couldn't really, get with a conviction on your record due to marijuana. So that's the expungement law. But now, when they changed that law, a lot of people think, okay, they changed the law, now I can smoke weed in public, blah, blah, blah. So there's still some crimes that the police can use and charge you with because you can't just smoke out in the open everywhere. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you a brief listing on those places and how that law affects you. Which, wait a minute, just hold on. Okay, that's not it. Well, basically what it says, I could re-Google it. Basically what it says is that um, you can't smoke. You cannot smoke and then get in the car and drive. You cannot drive a car while you're smoking marijuana. Now it's hard to tell. Some police don't know the difference between a black and mild or a blunt or whatever, and will try to pull you over. So if that happens and they find that you smoking while you driving, you still eligible to be arrested for DWI. And the DWI doesn't necessarily have to be alcohol or open container of beer or nothing like that. It can be smoking cannabis, marijuana in your vehicle. Now, what does that do? That opens a whole nother door. That will allow them to let you believe that because you were stopped and pulled over for smoking marijuana while you was driving, that they could freely and openly search your car. No, no, no. The Fourth Amendment still applies. Never forget that. If you want to search my vehicle, you need to have a warrant or you need to have probable cause. So that doesn't change. So it kind of balances out. But never believe that if you got pulled over for smoking marijuana or they smelled the odor of marijuana, the thing they used to use all the time is that, oh, we smelled the strong odor of marijuana in your car. Now that was probable cause for the police to search your car. So they just disregarded the Fourth Amendment based on a joint. And a lot of brothers got caught up with weapons, drugs, money that they don't have a habit of giving back. So what I'm telling you is that these new laws can be used to your benefit. But no, just because you get pulled over does not mean now the police have a right to search your car. Now, the good thing about the marijuana laws and expungement is everybody that's in federal prison right now or any family member listening to the sound of my voice, if you have a family member who at the time of sentence or pre-sentence, when they was doing what's called the pre-sentence report and they was scored points for marijuana convictions, like people in my family, now you have an opportunity to go in if you're not under a federal mandatory minimum sentence, and we're talking about drugs and gun specifically, money laundering somewhat, but credit card fraud, all that. Anytime the feds score you for a previous state conviction, whatever state you in, if the state now has legalized marijuana, you are entitled to go back under a post-conviction motion. Usually in the feds, it's 28 USC standing for United States Code, Section 2255, and apply to the judge. There's a number of recipes that I know that you could use. What I call recipe is grounds or basis to get back in the court. And one of them is that your criminal history was misscored using the marijuana convictions that are now expunged from your record. So let's say you was in criminal history category 1, and your offense level, this is hypothetical, criminal history category 1, and your offense level was, let's say, 12, and you was facing 0 to 40 months in prison. And that was because you got scored 3, 6, 9 points for state marijuana conviction. So what does that mean now? Oh, my state marijuana is legal. Okay, so what do we do with that? We go back, federal court, and say, hey, listen, you got to re-sentence me because now you can't score me in that range, in that sentencing range, where you bump me up because of these state marijuana convictions. You see, so now the probation officer has to go back, redo your PSI, PSR, pre-sentence report, pre-sentence investigation, whatever you want to call it. They are interchangeable. So now the probation officer is supposed to go back and rescore your criminal history minus the marijuana convictions
They're not liking that right now. So you have to go back and rescore me, and then my guideline range will change. Meaning, minus those points, my sentencing range has to drop. It has to. So now I'm entitled to resentencing. But the question is going to come up is, well, what year did the marijuana laws change? How much time do I have from the time the law changed to file my relief in court? Because in court, state and federal, everything is jurisdictional, meaning there's a timeline, there's a deadline. You have a certain amount of time to ask for this certain relief that you're trying to get from the courts. So usually on the 2255, it's 1 year. The 1 year starts after your last attempt for relief in the courts. You could apply to the Court of Appeals. That's the court that's over the district court that sentenced you, and that court may have denied you relief. Then you could apply to the full panel of the Court of Appeals, meaning the first appeal was heard by 3 different judges, and you got an issue that there's a split on, meaning some courts agree and some courts don't agree. So now you can say, well, I want the full panel. All judges on the panel, usually 9 on the Court of Appeals, you want what's called an en banc hearing. En banc means all the judges sit at the same time and review your issues. If you lose that, then you can still come back to that same Court of Appeals and seek what's called a certificate of appealability. Now, once you do that, you're asking for another look. So what that means is you want to keep asking the courts to look at your case if you want to push your issue all the way through. If you don't get nowhere through the federal appeals system, now you have a right to apply for a writ of certiorari. So the writ of certiorari is going to the United States Supreme Court. And believe it or not, you're like, what are you talking about the United States Supreme Court? We just was talking about marijuana. Well, these are the steps that you could take if the court doesn't want to recognize the state laws that vacated your marijuana convictions and entitled you to a new sentencing. So basically, don't give up. If you got those marijuana convictions, check with your state headquarters, criminal history division. In New York, it's in Albany. In other states, I don't know exactly where, but it's in the state headquarters. And if that state has changed the marijuana laws and you've been sentenced specifically, even in state court, if they used it against you to enhance your sentence, go back. You can get relief. And I'm telling you that it's possible to get your sentence vacated and be sentenced to a lesser time. So having said that, at this time, we're going to take a brief break.
Yeah, we both got needs. I can't call it, it's up in the breeze. We like cheap thrills, we like screams. Not much sleep on nights like these. Headboards in the background. Time to get loud when we act out. Good times and it's just for me. Put that on me, put that on, oh yeah. I know what you needed, girl, I'm all yours. Take it to the top floor.
Peace, this is Ykim coming to you from the Law Library. My brother T.A. is absent tonight, so we have a little technical difficulty. Anyway, so I wanted to pick back up on marijuana. We were talking about in the first segment about marijuana and expungement in New York State. And I doubt if anything is different in other states that legalize the possession and use of marijuana. I would advise you out there to look up and see if you're entitled to expungement from your record of these convictions that you may or may, if you didn't have them, then there's no problem. But if you had them, then look and see under your state's law, expungement based on the new marijuana laws. So I'm jumping back into this cannabis marijuana. And in New York State, what it says is legal adult use and possession in New York City. And I'm quite sure it's the same in every county because we only in one state of New York. What it says, it is now legal for adults 21 and older to possess up to 3 ounces of cannabis and up to 24 grams of concentrated cannabis for personal use in New York. Adults may smoke or vape cannabis wherever smoking tobacco is allowed under the smoke-free air laws with a few exceptions. Cannabis use is not allowed in motor vehicles, even if they're parked. That's what I was talking about in the first segment. Cannabis is not allowed. You cannot use it in a motor vehicle, even if the car is parked. Like, say, in front of the projects, you're sitting there with the car door open, got your leg out the window, you toting on your blunt or whatever. That is illegal under the new laws. If you're in the car, you can't smoke. Even if the car is parked, don't matter if the ignition is on or off. Like in DWIs, the ignition had to be on for it to qualify as a DWI. But under the new marijuana laws, the car on or off, or you in the car sitting there minding your business, police just want to make overtime, you'll be a hurt. Pull up. Yo, you smoking weed? I smell it. Come on, let's go. And that's that. So, you cannot smoke in the car. Okay. Or in outdoor dining areas at restaurants. Smoking or vaping cannabis is prohibited in areas, and it may result in civil summons and fine. So that's back to the broken windows where the police was giving out tickets for those dumb shit, bullshit charges, and you had to go to civil court and pay the fee or whatever, or fight it. So they go on to say, it is still against the law for people younger than 21 years old to possess, sell, or use any amount of cannabis. Also, no one may legally possess more than 3 ounces of cannabis and 24 grams of concentrated cannabis. I think I said that already. All right, so after legal sales began and home cultivation began, it says, 1, adults will be allowed to purchase cannabis products at licensed retailers. You see them popping up all over the hood, everywhere in New York City, trucks on the street and everything like that. Then it says adults will be allowed to grow 3 cannabis plants at home. Homes with more than 1 adult will be allowed to grow 6 plants, 3 mature and 3 immature plants. That's the baby plants. Adults will be allowed to store up to 5 pounds of cannabis in their home. So in New York State, they saying you can have 5 pounds of bud in your house. If I had 5 pounds of bud in my house, I probably wouldn't even go outside no more. I'd be stuck. Like, damn, 5 pounds, that's a lot of smoking. But I know a lot of young people run through that like water. I'm not a smoker. I ain't smoked weed since 1980-something. Anyway, all right, so cities and towns may have on-site consumption areas where people can use cannabis. That's like one site where you could be outside, you got this so many benches or whatever, or square space, tables, wherever you can sit there, roll your weed up or whatever, and you can smoke. So they got designated areas. I don't know where they at in South Jamaica, Brooklyn, or Harlem, but they saying they got them. So then the other part deals with medical cannabis, but we're not going to talk about that right now. So I want to make sure it's absolutely clear that y'all understand this. Under federal law, it says, under federal law, cannabis possession and use in all forms remains illegal. So you might say, damn, well, how that work out? The state of New York is saying I can have up to 5 pounds, but everything under federal law is regarding marijuana is still illegal. So what that mean? Well, let's say something happened at the house. You got 5 pounds of weed sitting on the table. Police come in there for some other dumb shit. They see that, they say, oh yeah, okay, you got 5 pounds of weed. All right, no problem. You ain't got no more nowhere else. Nah, it's right there, it's all 5. What about it? Nah, nothing. Ain't no beef with me. I ain't locking nobody up for something that's legal. Then on the other hand, let's say the family is dealing with immigration issues. That's just an example. So let's say ICE coming in, federal government coming in. They get a tip or something that is illegal immigrants in the house. And those same illegal immigrants got the same 5 pounds of weed on the table that the other people had. So now when it comes to them, that's the feds. That's a federal jurisdiction. That's a different jurisdiction than the state. So now that 5 pounds of weed is sending their asses to the federal penitentiary. Because my point is, and the law is, and it's clear, it's black and white, or, let me say it again. I'm going to read exactly as they wrote it. If it open, here we go. Under federal law, cannabis possession and use in all forms remain illegal. There are a few FDA-approved prescription medications that contain cannabis-derived products, such as CBD, or are made with synthetic products related to cannabis. So they don't really go into all that. They give a website that you could go on, and that's the FDA webpage on cannabis. So that sounds kind of contradictory because the state's saying marijuana is legal, but the Fed's saying, no, we're going to lock you up. So right now, I think it's Senator Charles Schumer has a bill with Cory Booker out of New Jersey, my man. Cory Booker out of New Jersey, they got a bill where they want the federal laws to reflect the state laws, and basically they want to make marijuana legal on the federal level. So I don't know if they gathered the votes or whatever to get that passed, but I know they got it on the floor. So somebody's pushing to make marijuana legal under the federal laws. But once again, I want to go back to the federal system and a point system, how they score people with their sentencing guideline range. Even though it's still illegal federally to possess or sell marijuana, if your conviction, I got to reiterate this, if your conviction under federal law for another crime that the state marijuana convictions was used to enhance your sentence, please reach out to me at the law library. If you got a family member in there that been scored criminal history points based on marijuana, I need y'all to get at me. We can help. You know, there's another organization that I want to big up. That's Mothers Against Mandatory Minimums. All you got to do is Google them, Mothers Against Mandatory Minimums. They can help you as well with these marijuana convictions. And I plead with you to contact Albany. What is that? Criminal Justice something. Anyway, you could Google it to see if your convictions have been expunged, order your rap sheet, go online. I'm not thinking of it right now. I can't tell it to you off the top, but I'm saying go online and punch in New York State, how do I get my marijuana convictions expunged? And they should have the details right there. It should pop right up. So, and switching off from speaking about marijuana, I want to know, how many of y'all know the story about Breonna Taylor, the EMT, young black girl, 27 years old, that was murdered in her home by the police during a botched drug raid? You know, they claimed that they was after her newfound boyfriend. He was suspected in narcotics dealing, and they kicked the door in. He thought that they was intruders, probably trying to rob him, or whatever he was doing. I don't know for a fact, but the police opened fire, and they killed this young woman, Breonna Taylor. Initially, a 2-year investigation occurred regarding the events surrounding that event. And fast forward now, I think it's 4 officers have been charged relating to that incident. The readout does not say that any of them have been actually charged with her murder in any capacity, murder, manslaughter, anything like that, reckless endangerment. It doesn't give those charges. I will follow up, and I will give it to you at the next time at the law library with Ykim. And Ty, I want to say my brother's name so bad. I really do. But at the next episode, the Law Library with Ykim for right now. Like I said, we're going through a little technical difficulties, but we still on our job. Our job is to give you all the law. We want to educate you and enlighten you. so that you know what's going on. We want you to know your civil rights, your criminal rights. We're going to talk about many different topics. We need you to call in. We need you to hit and like and subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, all that. Every platform we're on. Stay with us. Follow us. Peace.
Looking for a daycare for your little one in Queens, New York? We're opening Every Little Step 2. We offer the best caregivers, COVID-safe guidelines. We've been in business for many years and now have a bigger location located on Woodhaven Boulevard. Every Little Step 2. Check out our new website. Yay! Do you need childcare? Call today to get your child enrolled. Feel good knowing your kids are safe with us. Kids are our future leaders. Together we can change the world.